It is time once again for Tales from Underneath the Electric Blanket. Um, and this is because I liked the response that I made to Kazoom so much. I made a response and I liked it. I'm going to make another response. This one is to Big Lundy's Contra Justicar Financial Abortion Bodily Autonomy, which he spelled wrong, and children. So, autonomy has an O there, not an A. Lundy. Anyways, um, I know that this is like Scap makes a video, then Justicar makes a video, then Big Lundy makes a video, and then I make a video. But mine really doesn't have to do with the whole progression of all of their argument. I just wanted to offer a anecdote in this because I have seen it, and this is how to achieve a financial abortion. This happened in the life of my sister Deb, where her baby daddy basically achieved this, at least at one stage virtually, and then, like, seriously legally achieved this. So, um, I'm not going to get into, like, everything that led up to all the reasons why, because I've realized that would be like an hour ramble that nobody wants to listen to. What you want is how to actually achieve this, okay? So, my sister Deb, my late sister Deb, who died in 2008, um, in life she had horrible choice in men, um, over and over and over again. Um, and Travis, her baby daddy for her oldest daughter, Crystal, who is now a soldier in the Army, following in the tradition of people in my family all being uh, servicemen at some point in their lives. Crystal was 6 months old when Travis left. Okay, and there was some bouncing around that happened, and this is not actually a case where the financial abortion happened while the child was in the womb. Okay, this happened like he tried to be in the child's life until about 6 months, and then a split happened between him and Deb. So although yes, he left at 6 months, and you might not consider that financial abortion because it happened 6 months after the kid was born. You could still use this tactic in order to achieve it. Okay, so this is still how to. Okay, um, Travis was ordered by the state of Arizona to pay my sister Deb about $100 a fucking month. Okay, which I think that's $1,200 a year, and vastly less than what it would take to support her and her daughter Crystal. And when she came back to live with uh, my family in Arizona, I was about 16 at the time. Um, my father put her up in one of his properties called the Bisbee Arms, in Bisbee, Arizona, which was about an hour away from where we lived. And I saw the hardships that she went through, and I also know that although Travis didn't pay his child support, she still got money from the state for child support. Okay, so the money that she got wasn't really dependent on him paying into the system. Because at that time, at least, I don't know how it works now, and I'm pretty sure it works different in every state. Um, Women don't not get money when they're taking care of a child just because the man doesn't pay or pays late or something. So they get money, and then the state takes care of collecting from the man. You know. So over time, um, Travis was owing and owing and owing, and when you don't pay your child support, it becomes a felony. Okay? But Travis, one, he moved to a different state, and two, he always worked under the table. It was impossible for my sister to track him down. And so he owed a back amount of child support by the time the child was about 14 years old that amounted to about $15,000. Now, he had tried a couple times during that span of time to get a real job, then realized that he was about to get docked all of his pay, and then just kind of quit the job after that happened a couple times. So he was pretty much financially aborting by not participating in the system, which would collect the money out of his paycheck, which is, for some people hard to do, but in ranches in rural Utah outside of Salt Lake City, he found it quite easy to do, to stay off the grid and just get paid to do what he was doing. I imagine shuffling shit, but I later found out that and I found this out during the court case that happened when Crystal was 14 and Travis was extradited to where Deb and Crystal were living at the time, which was Wisconsin. I found out that he actually had an entirely different family, and they were Mormon. They were in Utah, and that's where Travis was from. And this entirely different family was being supported by him. And I don't know how they achieved it. It might be that his work was being paid to his new wife in his new life. They might have used her to kind of wash the money through and launder it through her social security number so that his income wouldn't be tracked. I have no idea, right? But they weren't that bad off. He had children in another life that was not with my sister. But when he was extradited, he was arrested in Utah because they found him somehow, and by that time he had collected 4 felonies, because every number of years, I guess 5 years worth of non-paying his child support equaled a felony, and then it wasn't quite 5 years for each one. Might have been like 4, and then like the remainder of one just became another felony charge. And it took like a month after they arrested him for him to finally be extradited to Wisconsin, because there's this group of states that have like a bus line, right? But it's in order like a big circle that this bus takes the deadbeat dads. So they just go from jail to jail in all of these states, and they do it the cheapest way possible, and they don't care about, quick justice, and your right to a speedy trial. No, fuck you, you're a deadbeat dad, so they will just put you in this jail circuit, and when you finally make it to the state where you are being arraigned on charges, it's a month later. So I didn't have any pity for him then. He was the deadbeat dad to my sister, who I had seen through all of her struggles. But now it does kind of concern me a little bit that justice is not swift, even though, it's not going to be in their favor. I would rather see them, be brought up before the judge and see his gavel come down without having that whole month of the taxpayers giving this guy 3 hots and a cot, you know. Anyways, he was ripped from his other family for a month, the family that he was supporting, and he was brought before a judge in Wisconsin. Now, the original amount that his child support was set at had never been changed. So that entire time, from 6 months old to like 14, all he had accrued in back child support was like $15,000. $15,000 for almost as many years that my niece Crystal was alive. $1,000 a year about is what he owed. But that was, almost all he had to pay. So they start this court proceeding, and I was there to support my sister and her daughter, and for part of it, my niece had to read something that she prepared for the court to tell the judge all of the different things that she had missed out on. Right? And Travis had to listen to this, and he was bawling. Like, tears, man tears, streaming down his face. And she had in her little story things like not being able to afford things for gymnastics, which she really enjoyed doing, but she couldn't afford like basic gymnastics gear to be able to do it. She couldn't afford ice skates in order to do ice skating. She couldn't afford a cheerleader's uniform to do cheerleading. She was actually a very athletic, active little girl. And, yeah, he was bawling. My sister got to read a piece of paper to him, and he was crying for that too. She said that there were times where she went hungry so that her kid could eat, and it was hard on her. Like, I remember there not being a lot of amenities at her place growing up. I used to visit on the weekends, and we'd play Super Nintendo, and what little money she had sometimes went to rent me a video game, and then we would play a video game that cost like $1 to rent over Saturday, and that was our entertainment, because there was no going to the movies, there was no anything else. So yeah, That was about as much entertainment as she could afford for years. Um, and I didn't see much of her going without food for in order to feed her kid, but she hid it well. She all of the food in the house though was kind of kid oriented. Like she had instant oatmeal packets. Um, Sometimes I would wake up before her when I slept over on the weekend, and I made her kid instant oatmeal. You know, the uncle routine. But yeah, there were all sorts of different things that she did bring up that she couldn't do for her kid. Uh, and maybe he felt one way when they split up, that he didn't want to support that kid, but he was crying during that whole ordeal. He was ashamed, but beyond veritably achieving this financial abortion by living off the grid and not taking jobs above board and over the table, on that day he achieved a real legal financial abortion, because uh, a couple years back, my sister, well, at that point, when Crystal was about 12, my sister got married to a guy named Ron. And being married, she really wanted to bring her daughter into that family with Ron, and Ron really wanted to adopt her daughter, like legally, but uh, Travis still had some like legal standing in all of that. And so a deal was worked out by the lawyer that my sister had, whereby Travis would give up all legal ties to his daughter and allow Ron to adopt her. The judge in this situation gave Travis a suspended sentence for his 4 felonies, but the caveat was that he had to pay all of his back child support right then and there. Period. Calls were made, and something of like a second mortgage was taken out on somebody's home, and I believe it was his parents. Not sure. But that money happened really quickly because of the terms that happened on that day. Part of that hearing, with Travis present, um, happened to be Crystal being told that she had to choose what name she wanted, because part of that hearing was going to sever her ties to her biological dad, let Ron adopt her right then and there, and change her name. Alright? And Travis had to watch on as his biological child got given the name of the new guy, Ron, the guy who was taking care of his kid anyway. He had to watch on as her last name was changed with the swing of a gavel. Bam. And that was tearing him up. Something severe. You know? It was a horrible ordeal that he had to go through in order to achieve it. But he did achieve a delayed payment of 14 years of her life. He got away with only paying $15,000, but that last portion of her life, the portion from 14 to 18, and then even beyond that, because child support can last all through the college years too. All of that he was completely free of, cut clean. And if he had come to the authorities, after the first year or two, he might have gotten a similar deal. It would be possible for someone to have something like this happen without 14 years worth of back child support. I don't know how much it would take, but suspended sentence on 4 felonies that are going to follow you for the rest of your life. It's pretty much a sentence of working under the table anyway, because you're not going to get a job with any sort of background check. But $15,000. That's just slap on the wrist when you look about how much a normal person ends up paying in child support, or a normal person ends up paying if they decide to support their child by being in their life. I'd say he won, and he didn't have to pay that much to achieve that financial abortion. And now that my sister's passed away, I think my niece even went out and contacted him, just to see what was going on, see about the half sisters that she has in this world that she never got to meet because of the whole split. And later in life, he might actually get to reap the benefits of having a relationship with a kid that he didn't support when she was growing up. And that's just, human beings being human beings, and forgiving things sometimes, because there's more to the story than even this one perspective that I've shared with you all. Kids are going to reach out for their parents, even if fighting between the parents ended up hurting the kid. I know there's lots of stories around me right now where people don't want to support a kid because they don't want to pay for their baby mama's drinking habit, going out to the bar and finding somebody to replace them. That's just the thought of horror. Like, you can't give just clothes and food and drop it off and give a receipt and say, hey, look, this is how much I paid, and this is fine, I have paid this much to support my kid. No, you have to give that money direct to the other person, and they get to choose how to spend it unilaterally. So, if they choose to spend it to go to a club and find some guy to replace you on your dime, then you don't really have much recourse. But, in their defense, it could be investing wisely because it didn't work out with you. Maybe it'll work out with some other guy, at least for a while. When did America become like marriage musical chairs? You know? I don't know. Take care, everyone. And stay warm under an electric blanket if you got one.